All right, Virgo, let's get into your reading. Let us go ahead and get into it because the second I touched these cards, everything ignited. The frequency pouring off this spread is unlike anything I have encountered, and it hit me instantly. A clock is ticking inside this reading, and the cards practically vibrate with urgent revelation approaching. This person tied to your energy, they held something back, and the pressure just became fully unbearable. I sense a confession sitting at the edge of their tongue, and nothing keeps it contained any longer. The urgency I detect is not manufactured or distant. It pulses through every card on this table. Whatever wall they constructed to guard this secret, the foundation of that wall cracked within one day. The timing here does not feel like months away. It feels like hours, and the cards confirmed that. All right, the energy that I have for you today is this, and it carries a countdown attached. Within 3 hours of this message reaching you, someone admits something that rewires your entire reality. This admission built pressure beneath their surface for weeks, and the dam finally split beyond all repair. What they confess will not be small or forgettable. It rearranges how you perceive absolutely everything. Your spirit already knows something massive is approaching, and your presence in this reading confirms that awareness. The universe orchestrated the exact moment you discovered this reading, and that timing was not random. This message located you deliberately because the window for their confession is narrow and closing quickly. What approaches you might arrive in forms you cannot predict, so remain alert to every unexpected signal. The first card here is the Tower, and its arrival sent a shockwave through this entire spread. The Tower confirms a sudden rupture in silence occurs, dismantling the structure they built around their secret. This card does not deliver gentle whispers. It delivers earthquakes that shatter every pretense still standing. The Tower says what surfaces was locked behind layers of pride, and those layers just fully collapsed. Truth exits their mouth before their brain can filter it, and the rawness stuns you both completely. This card carries no warning period. It strikes without negotiation and leaves nothing artificial still intact. The demolition the Tower brings is not punishment. It is liberation disguised as disruption, clearing the path forward. The next card is the King of Cups, revealing the emotional depth that fuels this entire admission. King of Cups confirms the person approaching you carries matured emotional weight, deeply considered, not impulsive. They process this confession through every layer of their being, and what remains is distilled, undeniable truth. This card says the admission was not born from panic. It was born from complete emotional saturation. They reached a threshold of saturation, where containing this truth became more agonizing than releasing it openly. Their composure finally broke under the volume of what they carry, and that fracture happened extremely recently. Then we have the Five of Wands, confirming the internal conflict that preceded this moment of surrender. Five of Wands says they waged war against themselves, debating whether raw honesty was worth the exposure. Every argument against telling you lost its grip, and the voice demanding truth overpowered every remaining objection. Five of Wands shows the exhaustion of resistance, confirming that fighting their own heart depleted them entirely. This card confirms the internal battle is finished, the decision is made, and the words already formed. Our final card is the Wheel of Fortune, stamping this reading with the mark of fated timing. The wheel confirms this confession was always destined to reach you, and no force could have prevented it. Everything in your shared history led precisely here, and the wheel says the rotation just completed its cycle. This reading arrived at the exact second the universe intended, and the admission approaching carries immense magnitude. The cards declared this moment inevitable, and what you hear within hours permanently alters everything between you. The vibration on this table just pivoted hard, and the cards shifted their lens directly onto you. Something in your chest moved the moment that message landed, and I felt the recognition pulse through. This section belongs to your side alone, and what the cards expose here deserves honest attention. The walls you built around your heart were not mistakes, and they were never rooted in cowardice. You armored yourself because the alternative was annihilation, and that instinct kept you breathing through chaos. The question this part answers is direct. What has been brewing beneath your surface during this silence? The first card on your side is the Three of Swords, naming the grief you swallowed without witnesses. Three of Swords confirms a piercing wound occupies your chest, one you trained yourself to ignore daily. You absorbed a betrayal of expectations nobody fully grasped, and the loneliness of that stung even worse. This card reveals you mourned a version of love that vanished before you could even hold it. Three of Swords says you processed that pain internally, building a private archive nobody could access. You smiled through gatherings while something hemorrhaged quietly inside, and that performance drained you beyond measure. Nobody handed you permission to grieve openly, so you invented a version of fine and wore it everywhere. The sorrow was never weakness. It was proof your capacity to feel runs deeper than most comprehend. You taught yourself to function alongside that wound, treating it like furniture you stopped noticing entirely. The next card is the Hanged Man, capturing the suspended state you occupied for months without relief. The Hanged Man confirms you reached a place where forward motion felt impossible, and stillness became default. You hung between wanting full release and wanting to preserve whatever hope remained, paralyzed between both. The paralysis was not laziness or indifference. It was an overwhelm so total that action felt absurd. The Hanged Man reveals you surrendered control not from defeat, but because gripping tighter was destroying you. You watched your own life from a detached angle lately, observing someone else navigate your circumstances. That dissociation was protective and necessary, and the cards refused to judge you for that mental distance. Then we have the Eight of Cups, illuminating the quiet departure happening inside your emotional body lately. Eight of Cups says you began walking away from expectations that once defined you, shedding them silently. You stopped performing optimism for people who never inquired how you felt, and that withdrawal was intentional. A silent revolution occurred inside you, where old definitions of love were examined and permanently discarded. Eight of Cups reveals you abandoned emotional patterns that poisoned you, even when leaving felt like losing. The emptiness that followed was not failure. It was necessary clearing before something authentic could take root. You released what was familiar without knowing what would replace it. and that courage went unrecognized. Our final card on your side is the Knight of Pentacles, exposing steady resilience beneath your exhaustion. Knight of Pentacles confirms that despite every wound and suspended moment, you kept showing up for yourself. You moved through days with quiet discipline nobody celebrated, handling responsibilities while your heart ran on reserves. Your consistency during devastation reveals a foundation inside you, one that nothing has managed to crack open. Knight of Pentacles honors the version of you that refused to collapse when collapsing seemed entirely logical. You earned what approaches next, not through dramatic gestures, but through relentless, unglamorous endurance that nobody witnessed. The patience you demonstrated when the universe offered nothing back, that patience is now being fully repaid. Every silent sacrifice you made during the drought carved space for what is now rushing toward your life. Your side of this story carries more weight than you acknowledged, and the cards witnessed every silent moment. A dense presence just entered the spread uninvited, and I feel this person pressing against every card. Their energy arrived carrying something volcanic, like someone rehearsing their final words outside a locked door. This section belongs entirely to their inner landscape, exposing what they guarded from you and themselves. Whatever composure they projected in your direction, it was a costume stitched together out of desperation. They changed at a molecular level since you last saw them, and that transformation shocked even them. The fracture did not happen gradually. It detonated the night they realized you might never come back. The first card on their side is the Ten of Swords, describing the collapse they experienced in private. Ten of Swords confirms they hit absolute bottom emotionally, face down in wreckage they built themselves. They reached a point where denial stopped functioning, and every lie they told themselves expired at once. This card reveals they felt the full consequence of their silence, and that reckoning left them gutted. Ten of Swords describes a death of their former identity, the version that believed distance equaled strength. What replaced it was raw, unfiltered awareness, the kind that only arrives after every defense collapses. They lay in that emotional rubble longer than anyone knew, rebuilding themselves around one unavoidable truth. That truth is simple and merciless. They cannot function at full capacity in a world without you. The next card is the Queen of Cups, unveiling the emotional sophistication developing inside this person. Queen of Cups confirms they cultivated a depth of feeling they never possessed, born entirely from losing you. Grief became their sole teacher, and the curriculum was brutal, but it graduated them into real maturity. This card shows they now comprehend the weight of what they held, because its absence educated them violently. Queen of Cups says they learned to sit inside discomfort without fleeing, which is brand new for them. The emotional vocabulary they lacked when you needed it, that vocabulary now floods them without any filter. They experience feelings about you they had no language for, and that sudden fluency overwhelms them constantly. The mirror between you both reflects identically, and what they feel matches what you carried in silence. What you sensed between you both was never fabricated, and the cards validate that connection with absolute force. You are not crazy for believing something real lived beneath their surface, because it existed the entire time. Their journey to this level of honesty required them to lose everything, including every illusion they once trusted. Then we have the magician, exposing the intention crystallizing inside their mind with alarming sharpness and focus. The magician confirms they gathered every scattered fragment of courage, assembling it into one focused decision. They stopped waiting for a perfect moment, recognizing that perfection was never the actual requirement to begin. The magician reveals they possess every tool needed to reach you, and that awareness both terrifies and excites. They rehearsed what they want to confess until the words carved grooves into their thinking, still inadequate. The journey they walked to arrive at this honesty stretched across months, and every mile was walked alone. Our final card on their side is the Four of Pentacles, revealing what they clutch most desperately. Four of Pentacles confirms they grip your memory with white knuckles, refusing to let any fragment dissolve. They hoarded every shared moment like currency, spending it privately when the ache became too consuming. Their possessiveness over your memory is not obsession. It is preservation of the only thing that truly mattered. Four of Pentacles shows they locked what you built together inside a vault, terrified acknowledgement would shatter it. The weight of guarding that vault exhausted them beyond description, and their grip is finally starting to tremble. Every card here tells an identical story. This person broke open, and what poured out was entirely you. The momentum inside the spread surged forward violently, and I feel the cards accelerating beyond anything prior. Stillness is no longer an option for either of you, the energy locked into a direct collision course. This section deals strictly with movement, the visible actions unfolding, and decisions already sealed in place. The countdown attached to this reading reached its final seconds, and what follows happens at measurable pace. The first action card is the Six of Wands, announcing a bold public declaration heading your way. Six of Wands confirms this person steps forward with their truth visible, no longer hiding behind closed doors. Their approach carries a confidence that did not exist before, forged entirely from the collapse they survived. They contact you in a manner that feels triumphant, as though they conquered their own internal resistance. This card does not represent tentative gestures. It represents someone arriving with unmistakable purpose and zero doubt. The communication heading your direction feels victorious in tone, like someone who finally defeated their own fear. Six of Wands marks the moment where private intention converts into public behavior, and that conversion already started. You may notice a shift in their public behavior first, subtle signals others might catch before you do. Their actions become observable to mutual circles, and the visibility of this transformation is completely intentional. They plant evidence of their sincerity in plain sight, wanting you to witness the change before they speak. You will feel this approaching before any notification arrives, because your intuition already registered the incoming shift. The convergence is mutual, both of you rotating toward the same center at the exact same moment now. The next card is Judgment, and its presence here elevates this action beyond ordinary human decision-making. Judgment confirms a spiritual reckoning completed inside them, and the resulting clarity propels them directly toward you. This card represents resurrection energy. Something pronounced dead between you both is standing upright and breathing again. Judgment says they answer a call vibrating through their bones, one they can no longer afford to ignore. Their movement is not casual or experimental. It carries the weight of someone who burned every escape route. They cross a threshold that cannot be reversed, and both of you will recognize that permanence on contact. Judgment strips every remaining excuse away, leaving only the raw act of choosing you with full awareness. The resurrection this card describes is not metaphorical. It is a literal reactivation of everything between you both. The pre-sign manifests in your body before external evidence arrives. Trust whatever sensation surfaces without question. Both timelines merged into this corridor simultaneously, and the cards confirm you walk through it together, not apart. Our final action card is the Ace of Swords, delivering the sharpest clarity this reading has produced yet. Ace of Swords confirms a single, decisive conversation, slicing through every accumulated layer of confusion between you. The words they deliver are surgical in precision, leaving absolutely no ambiguity about what they want from you. Truth spoken in this exchange carries a blade that severs every old narrative, cutting it off permanently. Mental fog dissolves instantly upon contact with this conversation, replaced by a clarity neither of you anticipated. The exchange does not circle or hedge. It penetrates directly to the core of everything and remains there. New information surfaces during this dialogue that reframes your entire history, providing context you never previously held. Action is not a future concept here. It is a present tense event unfolding within your immediate reach. The first domino already tipped, and the chain reaction heading toward you carries no breaks and no detours. Ace of Swords sealed this section with finality, confirming that the next conversation between you changes absolutely everything. What happens next moves at the speed the cards demanded, leaving no room for further hesitation. The cards descended into a register I did not anticipate, and a concealed chamber split wide open. This section excavates what they will never voluntarily confess, the desires they guard with their life. Whatever surfaces here represents the rawest layer of their truth, words their pride refuses to form. If heat rises in your face or your pulse quickens, that physical reaction is pure confirmation of truth. Your body decodes frequencies your conscious mind filters out, and what it detects right now is real. The first card exposing their confession is the High Priestess, and she guards the deepest secret here. The High Priestess confirms they possess hidden knowledge about their feelings, knowledge shared with absolutely nobody. They sit with a private certainty about you, one so enormous it terrifies them into total silence. They know with conviction that you are the person meant for them, and that knowing haunts every hour. The High Priestess reveals they consult their intuition about you constantly, and the answer never once wavered. Every internal inquiry returned the same verdict. You are irreplaceable, and no substitute will ever suffice. They harbor a spiritual connection to you they cannot rationalize, operating beyond logic or ordinary circumstance. The High Priestess says they whispered your name into empty rooms, testing how it felt with nobody listening. They assigned a sacredness to your bond that they protect fiercely, guarding it from any outside contamination. The protector voice inside them activated around your memory specifically, treating it as too precious to expose. That protective instinct deserves recognition, because it emerged from a devotion so consuming it frightened them. If your throat constricts or your eyes sting right now, that is your nervous system confirming this resonance. The next card is the Nine of Cups, unveiling the specific fantasy they constructed entirely around you. Nine of Cups confirms they built an elaborate, private vision of happiness, and you occupied every room. Their deepest wish is not abstract, it is achingly detailed, and it wears your exact face on it. They imagined waking beside you without urgency, sharing silence that required no explanation and no performance. Nine of Cups reveals they fantasized about mundane permanence, the ordinary rituals that signal genuine belonging. They pictured grocery runs and tangled blankets, the unremarkable proof that someone chose to stay without conditions. The wish they guard most desperately is not cinematic. It is quiet mornings in your hand nearby. Give yourself full permission to absorb whatever emotion surfaces, because what rises in your chest here is valid. You are allowed to feel the magnitude of being wanted at this depth, without shrinking or apologizing. Our final confession card is the Knight of Wands, exposing the fire they suffocated to appear controlled. Knight of Wands confirms they burn with physical intensity toward you, masked entirely behind calculated composure. The desire they carry is not polite or measured. It is volcanic and demands expression they keep denying. They ache to pursue you with reckless abandon, dropping every strategy and arriving completely unscripted before you. Knight of Wands reveals the impulse to reach you pulses constantly, and suppressing it costs them enormous effort. They fantasize about honesty so complete it strips them bare, confessing everything without a rehearsal or safety net. The emotional overflow reached a critical threshold, where containment costs more energy than confession itself ever would. What they suppressed out of preservation now presses against every internal wall, and the structure is buckling. Their hidden confession, distilled to its essence, is devastating. They want you entirely, and they want you permanently. The admission trapped inside their ribcage grew louder daily, and the volume now exceeds any wall they constructed. No substitute touched the frequency you occupy inside them, and that discovery shattered every contingency plan they built. Every card here pointed toward one inescapable conclusion. You are the confession they cannot stop rehearsing inside. The final stretch of this reading holds the heaviest confirmation, and I need you fully present for it. The cards reserved their most luminous vision for this closing, projecting your near future with vivid certainty. This part moves through what is coming, the advice you need, and complete confirmation of today's reading. The first near future card is the Sun, and its radiance on this table overwhelmed every surrounding card. The Sun confirms that joy returns to your life with forgotten intensity, warm and completely undeniable. The fog surrounding your situation dissolves rapidly, replaced by a clarity so bright it almost startles you. This card says the admission heading toward you illuminates everything, removing shadows you inhabited for months. The Sun projects a version of you standing in full confidence, no longer questioning what you deserve. Imagine yourself shortly after this confession lands, breathing freely with a weight permanently removed from you. That image is not wishful thinking. It is the exact destination these cards mapped with total precision. The next near future card is the Two of Cups, sealing the romantic conclusion of this entire reading. Two of Cups confirms a mutual exchange of truth occurs, where both hearts finally meet without barriers. This card represents equal emotional investment flowing both directions, not one-sided pursuit, but shared vulnerability. Two of Cups says the connection reforming between you carries maturity, a depth it never possessed before. What emerges from this confession is not old patterns returning, it is an entirely reconstructed foundation. Two of Cups shows you both arriving at this reunion transformed, carrying lessons the distance carved into you. Now the advice card arrives, and the world offers the most complete guidance this deck could deliver. The world says you already possess everything required to receive this moment. No preparation is necessary. Stand exactly where you are without adjusting, because your authenticity is the magnet that drew this forward. Do not rehearse your reaction or script your response. Let the moment unfold with whatever rawness arrives. The world advises you to trust the completion energy surrounding you, because this cycle finished its rotation. Receive without guilt and without minimizing what arrives. You earned this through endurance the universe documented. Let me return to the message that launched this reading, because it demands to be heard once more. Within 3 hours, someone admits something that rewires your reality, and not one card disputed that claim. The Tower shattered their secret structure, and King of Cups revealed the emotional depth fueling their confession. Five of Wands exposed their internal war, and Wheel of Fortune stamped this moment as divinely fated. Three of Swords named your grief swallowed alone, and the Hanged Man captured the suspension you endured. Eight of Cups honored your quiet revolution, and Knight of Pentacles recognized the relentless endurance you maintained. Ten of Swords confirmed their private collapse, and Queen of Cups unveiled the maturity grief forced into them. The Magician assembled their scattered courage, and Four of Pentacles revealed the desperate grip on your memory. Six of Wands announced their bold approach, and Judgment confirmed a spiritual resurrection neither of you reverses. Ace of Swords delivered surgical clarity, and the High Priestess exposed the sacred knowledge they concealed inside. Nine of Cups held their private fantasy, and Knight of Wands unveiled the volcanic desire they suffocated. The Sun projected radiant joy returning, and Two of Cups sealed the mutual emotional reunion now approaching. The world offered completion as your final guidance, and every card aligned behind one unanimous declaration today. This is real, and I need you to anchor that truth inside your body before leaving this reading. Come back when the confession arrives and confirm in the comments what the cards already told you. Thank you for trusting me with your energy, and I will see you in the very next one. The cards reserved their most luminous vision for this closing, projecting your near future with vivid certainty. This part moves through what is coming, the advice you need, and complete confirmation of today's reading. The first near future card is the Sun, and its radiance on this table overwhelmed every surrounding card. The Sun confirms that joy returns to your life with forgotten intensity, warm and completely undeniable. The fog surrounding your situation dissolves rapidly, replaced by a clarity so bright it almost startles you. This card says the admission heading toward you illuminates everything, removing shadows you inhabited for months. The Sun projects a version of you standing in full confidence, no longer questioning what you deserve. Imagine yourself shortly after this confession lands, breathing freely with a weight permanently removed from you. That image is not wishful thinking. It is the exact destination these cards mapped with total precision. The next near future card is the Two of Cups, sealing the romantic conclusion of this entire reading. Two of Cups confirms a mutual exchange of truth occurs, where both hearts finally meet without barriers. This card represents equal emotional investment flowing both directions, not one-sided pursuit, but shared vulnerability.